Your stint at Rajasthan Royals. I didn't even know a team like that has a CMO.
For us, Rajasthan Royals was not about the double R of Rajasthan Royals. It required someone who could put together the master brand architecture. This is my core business. That does not exist anymore. The core is getting into a lot of extensions. No other function or role is evolving, transforming at the pace at which marketing is. You can't find a perfect agency like your life partner. A logo is just of your brand identity.
Hey there, welcome to Marketing Mavericks with IndieFolio. Today we have Zameer Kochar with us, who's the Chief Marketing Officer at Angel One. We unpack Zameer's career today, where he starts at Unilever and he works at some top companies like Rajasthan Royals and of course now Angel One. We discuss some important projects, also a lot of advice for young marketers and many insights for anybody who's interested in marketing. Thanks a lot for your time, Zameer, and welcome to the podcast.
Hi, Kavan. Nice to meet you. Thanks for having me here.
The first question I ask everybody on the pod is, why did you decide to build a career in marketing? When is it that you decided that, okay, this seems interesting?
I think the big thing that worked for me was during my MBA days, I did a lot of projects. I was working hands-on with a lot of industries across a lot of agencies. And the biggest thing that stood out for me was spending time with consumers, doing a lot of consumer research, data inciting around it, and how that translates into strong messaging narratives which impact businesses through their communication. So somewhere I felt, this is my calling. That's where I took the leap of faith. And now it's 23 years of my career in this field. And I yet feel excited as I was, on day one.
Fantastic. I speak to a lot of young people who aspire to be marketers. They're a little confused. What is marketing? Is it for the creative brain or is it for the analytical brain?
I think it's a combination. These are two sides of the same coin. No other function or role is evolving, transforming at the pace at which marketing is. And I think the best way to define this is that brands which drive business results is the mindset that a marketer today needs to have. So while there is an aspect around consumer inciting, how that translates into communication into your go-to-market strategies and coming that to life. But there is a strong collaboration org-wide that you need to do with your product and tech teams to ensure those aspects are equally coming out strongly. With your UX, UI teams in terms of the design thinking so that it's extremely seamless from your web app experiences. With your data analytics team so that those insights translate into actionable business outcomes, how it's impacting below the funnel, beyond the top of the funnel, and without losing out the creative, because events, sponsorship, PR, advertising, overall marketing, brand building, again, performance versus organic. Those aspects again require a lot of expertise and speciality. So it's a great place to be. My recommendation would be the more you explore these facets and aspects, the better clarity you will get.
I think always it sounds more pressurizing, to be a marketer. The first answer anybody would have is the right college. What I wanted to ask you is that, today when you're building a team as a CMO, don't you think that people who come from a certain pedigree of a college or a program which is focused on marketing would have a better chance of getting their first jobs compared to somebody who's self-taught, learned on the job, has a sales or an engineering background? Do you advise you must go to college? If you can just kind of unpack your thoughts on education and how important that is to your career.
Having a formal academic background in a structured, disciplined manner, and the college institute plays a big role, to be very honest, at least to get your first job or get you started, because that's the starting point on which you're judged from a potential perspective. And obviously then what you end up doing in your life through curiosity, self-motivation, the hunger to grow and learn, that equally plays a very strong role. The faculty, whether it's guest faculty or in-house faculty, comes with that depth of knowledge and experience. Second, it gives you an opportunity to be in a peer circle and network with diverse profile of people, which at some point you may like or may not like. And these people going forward in your lives will end up in similar positions, senior roles. So that networking always helps. Third, it puts you into cases like experimenting with use cases or with live business environment and scenarios where you're forced to work with people you may not like. And it's important beyond your talent, capability, skill set, how you work with people if you have to survive in the industry, whether you like it or no. Because it's not always your talent or potential. In my case, and this is a journey which every individual goes through, either you get the marks or you qualify. And as you said, there can't be everyone given, the talent and potential which is there. So there are various filters and various evaluation criteria that you will put in your head. I think the big ones are the history or the legacy that the campus and the academy comes from. Second is the quality of the staffing or the resources that they will bring on the table. Third is obviously you'll have a sense of how individuals who've passed out from the alumni perspective have been doing in their careers. But I think the most important thing again is, are you clear in what you want to achieve out of it? Because a lot of times laziness, inactivity, inertia can lead to the giving you the best of equipment, giving you the best of environment, and yet you not succeeding out of it. And it's important not where you start, but where you end in your life.
Absolutely. I think, brilliantly put. Another dilemma people are in their earliest stages of their career is an industry focus. It's very confusing because you look at JDs of marketing leaders on LinkedIn, it often talks about focus area, right? Saying you must know the market, you must know the industry, you must know the customer, etc., etc. And now I'm actually going to open up a list because you have worked in so many, right? FMCG, travel, loyalty, sports, now fintech. You've gone ahead and had multiple, industries. While I also see other types of marketers who maybe been there for 15 years, 20 years in like one category. So why is it that, a company hires a CMO who also has like 20 years of experience in their category, but also hires a CMO who's maybe doing finance or let's say, sports or any industry for the first time?
In my case, to be honest, it was not a conscious choice. It just happened during the course of my career where interesting opportunities came from a growth, scale, quality of work perspective. My larger thinking on this topic is that being industry agnostic is okay, because broadly you are a subject matter expert or you have built capabilities in certain core functional areas. The broad principles and the guardrails don't change much. It's just the nuances or the creative expressions or the executional elements will vary depending upon the sector on the industry that you enter. So the cultural fuel does not change much because that's a universal insight that travels between humans. So I think the category nuances, as you rightly pointed out, change in terms of the trends, the triggers, barriers for you associating it with or no, which is what you can learn. There's no rocket science again there. The consumer insights again fundamentally are same. It's just that the nuances and the packaging that you carry around it will vary. And then your brand point of view in the whole structure of these three C's, if I can loosely call it, kind of makes you differentiated in that space which is there. Now, there are organizations who will prefer people with pedigree, seeing the similar journeys across the same industry. And there's no right and wrong in that. It's just that from a fitment perspective and what they were seeking at that time, and obviously what the candidate was seeking, fits in. But diversity always helps because it shows adaptability, it shows frugality in terms of how you will strive in different environments, because there are challenges which are across the board. And in the end, you're solving business problems, putting the lens of a consumer, and marketing acts as a bridge between the business and the customer. So I think till the time you keep it simple on that front, I don't think adaptability should be a challenge.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Now I want to ask you a question about when to stay in a company and when to leave a company. Okay. And I'll ask you this because when I see your career graph, like you've been in some companies for 7-8 years, some of them you've been for like 1 to 3 years, it kind of is, it's a range. I have a lot of friends who swear by the fact that the only way to make wealth is to leave a company quickly. And as a founder, I absolutely disagree with that, right? I have my own motives, obviously, but generally, I feel that it doesn't seem right to me. You also see a lot of Instagram content today which talks about the same, right? That you hop and you keep on getting your increments. You've been in multiple companies, you've spent two plus decades. When is it that you decided that I'll spend 7 years here, and why did you decide that maybe it's time for me to go? What are the forces I should keep an eye out for?
So, Kavan, I think the start point when you join a company, it's broadly you have strongly been convinced about the vision and the thought process that they are coming from. And you see you will equally play an important role to create impact, make a difference. Second is, the quality of leadership, the mentors, the peers, and the collaboration that you end up doing. And third, I wouldn't deny the fact, a lot of people, to the point you're making, which is equally important, is am I equally getting rewarded and recognized in a way which in my head justifies my value and aspires or inspires me to continue. So I think till the time there is a combination of all this happening, so till the time you are also willing to go the extra mile and putting it on you that it is my career, I will play to potential or go beyond. I will see how I want to transition and behave in a way which is two roles higher than where I'm currently am, because it looks very shining and exciting over there. But when you put yourself in the shoes, there is immense delivery challenges or pressure. Everyone goes through at their levels, which is there. So the choice is, do you want to do the same thing for 20 years, or every 2 years you want to do something different where you're value adding through skill sets, learning, development, and growth? And those kind of should drive your choices. Again, as you said, taking a decision basis the increment hikes is a very short term thought process, because it's a long career. You'll do your jumps every 10-15 years. After that, what? Your package gets inflated, but then the value that you're delivering and you unlocking for the business is not there. There are smart people in the industry who notice and see that. So I think that should never be the start point if this is an advice to marketers or people in their careers. But I know a lot of this is driven through life stages, life cycle changes, where at time, the monetary elements are much more than the job satisfaction or career growth elements. But yet, I think there are other avenues and ways to take care of it through hobby horses or through areas that can value add as a second, third income. But it shouldn't come with diluting your long term goal from your career and your growth perspective.
Very well put. I want to now talk about kind of unpack loyalty as a core focus area which a marketer can take up, right? And if you can kind of share everything like from a 0 to 1, why is it that a loyalty program exists? What are the mechanics of a loyalty program? And if you could also kind of share your thoughts when you were building these programs, across Intermiles.
You're taking me back in time to, one of the decades where I learned a lot. Coming to the question around loyalty, it's like in today's time, any average relationship, whether it's your marriage or even your workplace, is 1.5 years to 2.5 years, right? So expecting loyalty from a customer where they are spoiled for choice with shorter attention spans is quite a big ask. But the fundamental principle is about loyalty deserves to be rewarded, whether I work somewhere or whether I'm a customer. And can I create those strong value propositions that excite you to stay back with me? So if I have to get a bit more deeper, broadly, it's the 3R approach that we used to take, which is around relevance. Am I able to be relevant in your life in a meaningful manner, which is distinctive enough or competitive enough to hold you back and to take care of your end benefit payoff that you're looking at. Second is about how well I can reward you. And these rewards can be in multiple ways. Then there is this set of aspirational rewards, which is forcing you to save a bit more, but also opens up your mind in terms of, okay, these are the various avenues in which you can participate with the brand, engage with the brand, like a goal setting or a gamification aspect, which the journey seems very exciting and intuitive and seamless rather than a chore. So loyalty programs overall are going to be part of companies, whether you are a one-to-one company or a mass scale company, because data is the fuel of growth. We had a lot of data saying that within the first 2 weeks, if someone engaged with you, 70% of them continued engaging with you for the next 3 to 6 months, which meant you've in a way got their loyalty or bought them in. And third is also looking at the prediction towards churn if they are getting totally disengaged. So then there is a lot of element that goes in your governance framework of communication, because many times brand go all out reaching you out. If you've done a search on the website or the app, it kind of gets little intrusive also after a point. So where do you draw the line? Because that is also transient data. Today you have searched on multiple travel sites. But that does not mean you're looking to buy a ticket today. It could be for a
Right.
future travel or holiday that you're planning 3 months down the line.
Right.
So again, then leveraging AI models in a way which builds in the right capability in an informed decision making where customer love is not lost. So this
Mm.
whole journey from brand love to advocacy is the whole life cycle.
Right.
And then you have multiple touch points and triggers. And then you have a lot of data attributes, whether it's the demographic data, the psychographic data, the interest affinity data, which acts as fuel of growth for you in
Mm.
terms of whether you're getting the right signals from the customer to stay loyal to you. So the money can't buy experiences become extremely important for someone wanting to associate with your brand as well.
In today's environment, how effective is this program? Because in my mind, I feel like I'm scamming all the companies, right? I'm telling everybody I'm your top fan, I'm paying an extra rupee, and I'm actually getting perks out of that. So does it mean that I'm actually getting fooled by them? I'm actually paying them a premium? Or how is it that the mechanics are working out? Is it like a retention spend for an overall LTV bet? Would just like to understand today's perspective from your lens.
Absolutely, Kavan. And what you're saying is even I would do as a consumer. Is on OTT platforms, you'll see you spoil for choice. If you're able to get a free OTT subscription through your Vodafone or Airtels of the world, or through your Amazons, then why not? Rather than even paying the small 49 a month or 149 over a quarter, because everyone wants the bang for the buck, which is there. So with businesses today where lines are blurring, that I used to be, this is my core business, that does not exist anymore. The core is getting into a lot of extensions. Extensions are even getting into a lot of stretches. And people are even widening the imagination of it might sound out of scope as a business brand extension for me, but why not? Till the time it is helping me to create a 360 ecosystem for the customer to interact with me and not go out of me.
Right.
So, till the time you are able to give multiple touch points and create scale and create value, the customer is hooked on with you. One of the secret sources of loyalty programs is that the quality of partners that you bring on board. And if they are the top two or three leaders in the categories that I and you associate mostly with, which is shopping, dining, fuel, travel, lifestyle, hospitality, then the trust element also comes in that if this brand is associated with XYZ strategic alliances and partnerships, there is merit in staying with them. Second, when you're creating the whole ecosystem, there is something in it for everyone. And you, as you said, might find relevancy because your needs are more of travel lifestyle versus your father's needs might be something very different. So understanding the life stage or the life cycle where each one of y'all are, understanding what are the aspirations or the need gaps in terms of what will make you associate with the brand strongly versus the other person. And that's why segmentation, targeting, cohorting becomes extremely important. And third, leveraging today social, leveraging today content creators and influencers in a way also becomes equally important because you have the right touch points.
Got it. Superb. Zameer, I also want to ask you about something specific when you were in this company about rebranding. We've recently had some rebrandings happen on OTT platforms, even car companies, which have picked up a lot of controversy, right? People are criticizing it. Some people are criticizing the people who are criticizing it. What goes into a rebrand, right? I think you were one of the leads on the project of Jet becoming Intermile. So some context around that. But overall, what I'm trying to kind of highlight from you is what makes a good rebrand and what all things do you consider that, okay, this is why I want to rebrand and this is why this rebrand is successful. If you could just unpack that.
Yeah, sure. So I'll break this in two, three parts. One is the jet privilege rebranding was a bit unfortunate one because of the airline shutdown. But having said that, it was equally important because with the airline operation ceasing, there were three primary tasks for us. One was establish and mainly to our core customer base, which was close to 10 million at that time and growing. That jet privilege is a separate independent entity with majority stakeholding of Etihad Aviation Group. That was extremely important. Second, your JP miles are safe and secure because the Kingfisher fiasco had happened almost 7-8 years back, but people were yet having that fresh thinking in their head कि मेरे वो miles totally waste हो गए थे. They were my hard-earned miles where I had spent to earn it. So it was important to establish that JP miles are safe and secure. And third, worry not, there are even more avenues to redeem beyond free flights that used to get on jet. And there are these everyday lifestyle avenues, the ones that I was talking about earlier around lifestyle, dining, shopping, fuel, hospitality, and things like that. So these became the key tasks on hand. The first two tasks were broadly PR led and corporate reputation brand building led. But the third one was to create this whole ecosystem of different aggregator platforms becoming a source of where consumers could earn miles and quickly redeem as well and see much value out of it. But coming back to the rebranding, I think it happens for multiple reasons. One is, are you yet relevant with the changing, moving times, with the consumer profiles that you want to talk to? Second, is your business strategy or your business model? In fact, it starts with that, and or it's a combination of the business and the consumer. But how's your business model or strategy evolving, keeping in mind the changing consumer needs? Third is, obviously, if these are the two primary pivots for it, then how does that reflect from your new refreshed visual identity, whether it's imagery, typography, color, symbology, tone of voice, because those become equally important. A logo is just 2% of your brand identity. Fourth, I think important aspect is, and this is not in the order, but if you look at the S&P 500 companies also today, 90% of their valuation comes through brand and not through intangibles like your machinery, your land, and things like that. And when I say brand, it is the IPs that you create, the technology that you invest in, the data that you have acquired from the first party perspective, and how you're growing it. And then brand valuation driving towards financial performance. These are three, four extremely important pivots. You've seen a lot of traditional old legacy brands play with their logos, do changes, and everyone has a point of view.
Right.
But till the time the business is clear, and it's the business strategy which is driving the brand strategy in a way that this refresh, this makeover is being done with the long term sustainable growth of the business, creating a very customer centric approach, which in no way alienates your core source of growth, which is your potential bullseye TG, and your existing customers who've been loyal with you, and the retention and engagement kind of does not get hampered. It is the right step in terms of the transformation and the evolution of the brand to take. Because with the new age thinking of the Gen Zs and the millennials, there are cosmetic changes that you could do in terms of overhauling, but there are some fundamental changes also that you would want to do across your brand mix and your media mix, which is there, which kind of makes it more relevant, it makes it more refreshed and engaging with the changing times that are there.
Got it. Got it. I want to now touch upon your stint at Rajasthan Royals, right? I didn't even know a team like that has a CMO, right? Till I actually came across your profile and got very curious about how does that work. So can you tell me what prompted you to join them and what was really the main goal or objective for you to kind of be there? And generally, again, how does a CMO's day look like, leading an IPL team?
It was the overhauling required for the right reasons, which is, your business is growing. There is a vision that the organization had set around transforming society through cricket. And if that's the vision, then how does the whole Royals group of business kind of come under an architecture, whether it's the cricketing side of it, and IPL became one marquee league, but the company was expanding into the Caribbean Premier League as well as the South Africa T20 League. So how does that vision come to life? And then looking into your other lines of businesses, whether it's the academies, the ed tech, and the foundation side of it, which is enabling empowered women, because the thought is if women are already empowered, you're just enabling them with opportunities by giving them clean water, taking care of mental health. So it required someone who could put together the master brand architecture, ensure how the different lines of businesses will come together under the master vision, and how the expressions of it through visual identity and through communication narratives, looking at nuances of different regional, local connect, establish the Royals philosophy in a very strong way. So for us, Rajasthan Royals was not about the double R of Rajasthan Royals. It was about the resilience and resolute for which the broad philosophy of the organization stood at. And it sounded very interesting because the stint gave me an opportunity to refresh a lot of things, including the anthem, the Halla Bol anthem, which is now a war cry across the stadiums. We also revamped the Super Royals program, which my past experience in the loyalty space helped. Now, one of the interesting things is that fandom is a given because of the strong connect of cricket with all of us. The Asian diaspora is spread across globally as well. But again, there has to be an effort because there is a journey that a fan goes through from a fan to a flirt to a fanatic. And to the loyalty experience, if I have to go back again, a fan is someone who follows cricket, who might end up following the ICC tournaments as well as the IPL. But how do you make him go deep? Where they flirt with your brand. That why Royals or these two, three brands are in my top consideration set. That happens when they download the app, they follow you on social, they see your content, they spend time with you. Now, again, how do you go deep? Is to move them from the flirt to a fanatic space. Can you bring in some monetization opportunities of they buying tickets with you, they buying merchandise with you, they associating to some loyalty initiatives with you? That's how you will also make money as a business because you're translating the brand love into clear business outcomes that are there.
Very cool. I had a very short-sighted thought of like what it would mean to kind of be a CMO of a sports league. Before we hop on to the next one, I just want to know, essentially the thumb rule, the core job is ROI, right? So what kind of like revenue drivers does a sports team have? Is it mainly merch and ticketing, or are there some bigger areas which people may not generally be aware of?
This is a known fact. It's kind of well out as well. Line share of the revenue comes through the media rights, the relationship of you as a franchise, and then what all you bring into the board through the sponsorship entitlements that come through the jersey is the second aspect of it. As you rightly pointed out, merchandise sales, ticketing, and the other lines of businesses also through the academies or the edtech platforms become avenues.
I've always been curious about t-shirts, right? How do you decide t-shirt, right? That, hey, this will have so many more eyeballs, well, this will have less, well, this will have the most, etc., etc. Like, is there a certain structure you focus on? I'm just curious.
Yeah, no, there are multiple ways. Like BCCI themselves have a lot of scientific tools in which they measure eyeball, and there's a brand impact score that is calculated broadly basis the position, the sizing, the soulless exposure that the brand gets, the frequency at which it comes on TV or through the naked eye that you see it. There are companies who do this for a living, where if you've created a content piece, the mentions, the hashtagging, how you very seamlessly integrate it as part of the storytelling. And then there's a measurability angle in terms of the opportunity to see versus the engagement that it got, and the brand impact score basis different weightages and the parameters that you have created, the app downloads that you could get, the PR earned media that will come around it, the word of mouth through your brand live studies that will also be there, and your brand health tracks also, which will show your top of mind recall or your consideration sets and your imagery attributes. So there are a lot of tools and models through which you can measure it. But in the end, I always say this also, marketing is 70% science and 30% gut and instinct.
Superb, superb. Thanks for sharing that. I was very curious. The most recent stint you had with Angel One, I believe a new industry also for you. So why did you decide to jump into BFSI? Are there any interesting trends which you're excited about, which you feel you'll be able to shape the future of BFSI for? And specifically, why Angel One? Because it's an extremely competitive space you are in. Everybody's beating each other on some metric every day. Everybody's the biggest I keep on seeing, right? So why did you decide on, that particular company, and what's next for us?
The vision of the founder and the goal that has been set up in a big way, which is of empowering a billion lives by helping them and enabling them to get financial freedom faster. And this is something which you will also associate very strongly. And overall, the fintechs industry and space, if you notice, is kind of at a very fast, rapid growth. There's so much of category buoyancy. There's so much of single digit user adoption and penetration also today. We know how the payment space is going to be growing at a different level from the volume perspective as well as from the revenue perspective. I think me believing into the vision, me kind of seeing how I can value add and grow, and getting into an uncharted territory, as I said earlier, always helps to push you out of the comfort zone because it kind of gets the best version out of you. If I had to just tell you how I see the consumer in the fintech space, I think there's immense potential and growth. I see it in a very simple way. There are 400 to 500 million Gen Zs and millennials. The millennials will form 70% of the monthly household income as well as the expenditures of taking care. The demat account penetrations are extremely low as of today at a 160 million level. And if I look at the unique count and the overlap count also, it further gets lesser. And for me, broadly, as a marketer, is all about behavior change, is about changing inertia or inaction. It has also taught us that me being in the do-it-yourself space and me being empowered and in control is a big thing for me to make the choices.
So, Indiefolio represents some of the top studios, production houses, and independent consultants in the creative space. And one thing we've seen is brands now, because of the sheer amount of a need of content, right, are partnering with smaller studios, smaller people, independent consultants versus the initial days where there was only one network agency, which was the AOR. So I see a lot of them wanting to pitch to brands, and that's why I wanted to kind of ask you that you've worked with so many agencies in your tenure. What separates a great agency from a good agency, according to you?
So I think this agency question is again like a relationship. There are good days, there are bad days. You can't find a perfect agency like your life partner, if I can loosely call it, because there'll be adaptability and there'll be situations where there'll be good days or bad days. But till the time you're willing to invest and work, there are certain aspects that you're looking in an agency, which is the strategy or the planning piece versus the creativity, the adaptability piece versus the servicing or the execution piece. Now, if two or three of the things are working well, then you can always get the last one also going well. So one is the skill set and the capability thing. Second is the quality of people, the strategic thinking, the clarity of mind, the point of view that they bring. And you're as good as your team. We see it in sports, we see it across our organizations as well. So if you have people with the right attitude, the right mindset, and who are able to go the extra mile, keeping in mind the objective that you're coming, that kind of also solves and takes care of things. And third is, I think, keeping this constant feedback loop open, because it's not that the client is also perfect. The agency would equally feel ways where the client is putting his thought processes, boxing them, killing creativity, and asking them to operate within a certain area, which is okay at times, but not at the initial stages where you want, a big idea to come out and the thought processes to go at a different level. So honest 360 feedbacks on a quarterly basis of what's working, not working, how both sides can get better. The build versus buy model. Again, organizations take calls on these on multiple fronts. I would say companies which are even in the mid to large size prefer having in-house design studio in place, because it just helps with agility and speed to market and quick closures, given at a time where companies are building a lot of first party data and using own channels. So having someone to convert it into your emailers, push notifications very quickly, while there are marketing automation tools also help you to do that cohorting. But it's important, to have someone in-house on that front. That's the design studio piece. The
Right.
same goes on the content studio piece as well, where, you want to quickly go live through short format or long format content, whether it's crisis management that you want to do, whether it is even product feature series, because today even brands are building a lot of internal thought leaders and going to external influencers or even celebrities.
Right.
The new age brands are using their founders and leaders to build the brand and come from a position of trust, where I'm sticking my neck out, and if I'm a believer, I need to communicate that. Having a setup there of editors or content writers, or photographers, videographers, and creating that becomes important, because there are certain hygiene content pieces will go out regularly. Your IPO alerts, your quarterly results, and things like that. But then there will be some content pieces which require brand thematic narratives, which require different flavor, which require diversity, which require pushbacks from creative teams and content creators that say, this is the lens you're missing out, and let me show you the mirror how you can get better. That's where you need to have this panel of independent creators or agencies on board. I'm personally a firm believer it should be a mix of your retainer based and maybe some with whom you work on certain marquee projects or strategic projects which are topical, trending, or even as per popular culture. Because the new age agencies and the small boutique agencies also come with understanding the audiences better and are willing to experiment because they don't have the fear of failure. And there will
Right.
not be a yes man in the room, which is there. So, again, a combination of 70-30 on that is a good mix to start with. Sometimes there's a lot of inertia internally, also, to be very honest, which goes beyond the marketing team. Did you get a proposal of three agencies? What is their pedigree? What kind of clients they've worked?
Right.
So, it is something which over a period of time you create and build, and it's each organization to its own. But given the quantum, the scale, the 365-day working culture given different time zones and different send time optimizations or A/B testing, whether it's creative or subject lines or multiple other things, it's not a choice of either and or. I think it's a combination that needs to exist. Companies need to find their sweet spot.
I think well put. It's always a question of, your quality, speed, and generally the expertise piece, right? And also costs. Another transformation in the industry, right, which is kind of scaring people is AI. The scary part of AI is that it's really removing the need of production. Production requires craft for you to produce things, needs craft for you to know the software, the skills to deliver something. And we're kind of going to a time where if you have the brief, you can create whatever you want to do. Obviously, creative people have to embrace AI. I think it's very evident today. And some of the best examples you're seeing of good AI today is by creative people. But my question is the stack of the marketer may also evolve, right? Where creative people are expected to know more about the business and marketing, and marketing people are expected today to know about how to actually do production and creative. If that's happening, doesn't it mean that maybe in the future the marketer will be expected to prompt and create? So do you feel that's a trend that marketers will be expected to kind of follow, or do you feel the outsourcing market in the creative industry will remain? It's just that the toolkit of the creative people will change.
I'll take this at a larger level to start with and then get specific. One, the fear comes when you don't know enough of anything. But having said that, this is going to emerge in a big way. It's going to transform the landscape, not only marketing, but across the different functions which is there. So the sooner people adapt and learn, the better it becomes for them. I think the mindset people need to have here is that the role of technology, AI, and all these LLM models is about removing the routine, mundane, daily, day to day tasks out of your life and automating it in a way by training the model very clearly about what's the objective that you wanted and what are the inputs going in the model to give you the desired outcomes. Because in the end, it's a machine which has to deliver basis your instruction brief as you were talking about. You then as a human are getting free to do more larger tasks like insights, stepping back and pausing and seeing how you can deliver larger impact beyond these operational tasks which is there. So it's a no way to make your role redundant. It's just a tool or a technology facilitating and enabling you to do larger than life tasks which you were not able to do because of the operations. And again, it's not a marketing wide conversation. This adoption has to happen at a central level. So today what I see on the AI front is a lot of experimentation. Am I confident will it add value and in a tangible manner? Maybe not. But these test and learns are important for me to ensure that it's in the right direction.
Right.
So what will be critical is to ensure scalability and higher user adoption of these tools.
Right.
So it is important to look at it in a holistic way, how it impacts your function or your business in that way. And it is something for in the long term from a sustainable perspective. AI in the marketing world broadly should start where all your data sources and there is a strong sentiment analysis and a keyword analysis basis the digital footprint that the consumers are leaving for you, whether it's on your app, your website, your social platforms, your ORM listening tools. And then basis that, see what is the persona, cohort, or the pain point that you're solving for through your communication narratives. That should be the start point. Second gets into the phase of the marketing automation where you've now created these cohorts where basis the cohorts, the moment or the use case, you are kind of refining the base text or the visual imagery, keeping the core essence intact and even going to the point of vernacular and regional customization from your content and creative assets. then that is something that can go mass scale because it's unique cohorting basis use cases, basis moments, basis
Right.
topicality, trending, seasonality, where you are kind of taking it forward. And third, not stopping the loop here, but also looking at the measurement framework, that when I was sending all this input, given the broad objective that I had set to the inciting, is the output in the right direction? And the
Right.
output here, as you rightly said, could be cost efficiencies, because I'm creating lesser assets. I'm just then replicating and multiplying it into different avatars and versions. While cost is one way to look at it, but the growth and the revenue is the stronger way to look at it. That if it is resulting in higher engagement, higher productivity, higher customer satisfaction scores or NPS scores, as well as there is some reflection of it beyond the top of the funnel to the middle of the funnel as well.
Mhm.
More organic views, higher average time spent, less bounce rates, session time also going higher, page depth, scroll depth also going higher.
Right.
Then it can cut across text, images, visual, and video, and then having clear measurability, which makes the use cases of investment at a technology level and a data warehousing concept level. So I would say the more we embrace it, the lesser devil in our heads it becomes, because it's more in our heads than in reality. Perception troubles us more than the reality, and sooner or later, life is moving in that direction, whether you like it or not.
Correct. No, I think all you can do is, have these conversations and hear from various people, what's going to happen, because nobody knows. This brings us to almost at the end of the podcast. Any particular advice for young marketers today who want to become a CMO one day?
Having a curiosity mindset is extremely important. That just kind of ensures that you learn every day, you grow every day, and you develop yourself. Second is embracing contrarian views. The person who is challenging you is not your enemy, is a good person to solve the problem for, because once that person is convinced and on your side, it kind of makes your task much more easier to the area that you want to go. So always playing devil's advocate, having a contrarian view, putting yourself in the shoes of the other person becomes important. Third is there are no two sides when you work as a team and you collaborate. It's all with that North Star metric or the goal of the organization, and you're just compartmentalized or broken into different functions, which
Mhm.
is playing different aspects to make that happen. Fourth, I think people look at failures in a very different way. So I think there is learning, you win, and then there are learnings.
Mhm.
When you failed, don't take it too personally. Have your moments of pausing and going down, but see that it's in that event or that situation you have failed, not you as a person. And what you learn out of it, and next time that you bring out, should be some actionables that has got you become better. If you don't do that, then again you're repeating the same thing. Fifth, I think, is having a set of mentors, leaders. Everyone's gone through a lot of this. So, learning from their experience. I'm a firm believer of steal with pride, which is learning from, your leaders or your seniors' experiences, which could be different categories also. And then applying that in the context of your business, your brand, and, tweaking it and seeing what gets customized over there.
That's some incredible advice, Zameer. Even thank you so much for giving me so much time and sharing these insights with the community. I hope you had fun.
My pleasure. Yeah. Thank you so much, Kavan, for having me here. And I hope your community enjoys this as much as I enjoy talking to you.
I'm sure they will. And on that note, for everybody who's tuned in so far, thank you so much. If you'd like to hear another marketing leader soon, please like, share, and subscribe. A new episode will come out very, very soon. Bye bye.